Hello everyone and welcome to my second Nautica analysis video. In this video, I'll be going over all of the new information about Nautica that has come out since I made my last analysis video. If you haven't already seen that video, then I do recommend you watch it since there is a lot of information in it. Before I begin, please understand that everything I say in this video is subject to change. Nautica is still a way out from being released, so a lot could change in that time. So if I say it in this video, it could always change. But with that out of the way, let's get started. I'm going to start off by talking about some of the new ship-related things we know are coming to the game. When I covered the Cornelia Marie in my last video, we did not know what it would be called in-game. In-game, the ship will be called the Harris Explorer. On screen now, you can see two brand new renders of this ship. Something I would just quickly like to say is that these pictures were not taken in Nautica, they were rendered in Blender. I just wanted to clear that up since some people have been thinking that the water and waves are the same ones that will be in Nautica. Something else we know about the Harris Explorer is that it is one of 3 statistically identical starting ships that you will be able to choose from. So when you first join the game, you will be able to choose between the Marco 125, Harris Explorer, and another ship that is currently unknown to be your starter ship. In this photo, you can also see some other changes, such as a new mast and other visual changes, but more on this later. If you watched my last Nautica video, then you will know this ship, the Sparrow 125. Well, this ship has now been renamed to the Marco 125. This is a very short snippet of how the interior is currently, however it is very old, and a new version will represent something more along the lines of this. It's been said that the ship will most likely receive a full remodel before release. A new ship we now know will be in the game is the light ship. It's been said that they don't exactly know how the ship will be used, but since it is a light ship, you can expect it to function as a sort of mobile lighthouse. This ship currently has 3 publicly known versions. This is the first version, this is the second version, and this is the third version. Another ship that looks like it will be in Nautica is the Town Class Light Cruiser. This is the second confirmed PvP ship for the game. In the teaser, the ship's interior can be seen in the loading screen. This ship was previously thought to be for DSS3, but it does look like it will now be in Nautica, and maybe it will make an appearance in DSS3 down the road, who knows. Just another small bit of information, it has been said that on release you can expect the biggest ships to be around the size of the G2 class carrier or Alabama class container ship. From there, going into the future, ships will continue to get bigger. Lastly, this is something I know will make a lot of people happy. Personal ships will not be in Nautica, except for maybe dumb stuff like, quote, a cat that shoots lasers out of its eyes. Personal ships have long been a controversial topic in DSS3, but it looks like Nautica will not be having them. Next, I'm going to go over some of the things we know about the map. In the last video, I showed some photos of this island. Now, we actually know the name of this island. This island is called Sankt Johannes and is based on the real-life island of Christianzo. I know there's a good chance I pronounced both of those names incorrectly, but I promise I'll learn how to say them eventually. As I said in my last video, islands in Nautica will be loosely based on real islands and will be mock real. You can clearly see that Sankt Johannes was based on Christianzo, but there are still some differences, such as the addition of a windmill. In this photo, you can also see that there's a sign that says 5 knots maximum. Maybe this could mean that there's a forced speed limit inside of the port that you cannot go over. That's just me speculating though. Also, in this photo right here, you can see the name of the island hovering above it, as well as a bit that says undiscovered. Another theory I have is that maybe you can only spawn at islands once you have discovered them. In TSS3, you can immediately spawn at any island you want, but maybe in Nautica, you will first have to visit them before being able to spawn there. Lastly, if we take a look at the back of this photo, in the background you can see another bit of land. It's not completely clear if this is just an island that's a work in progress or if this is just an empty bit of land. It's also not clear if this will actually be its final placement on the map. Regardless, I thought I'd point it out. My last bits of information regarding the map is that the islands, like in DSS3, will be from multiple geographic locations. It's also been said that the next island to be made may be from the British Isles. Next, I'm going to go over some of the features you can probably expect to be in Nautica. For starters, I'm going to dive into this teaser that was posted on December 11th in the Bad Yacht Discord server. This teaser has revealed a ton of amazing features. For less than 1 second at the very beginning, you can see the loading screen that displays the previously mentioned Town Class Light Cruiser. But on the bottom of the screen, you can also see what appears to be a spot for a tips section. Only 1 tip is displayed, but I assume they will switch out with other ones. Once you load in, you can see the main menu. In the info section, you can see the credits section section with the people who have worked on the game, the update log, player stats, and the server info. In the settings section, you can of course see the different settings, but easily one of the most insane things here is the AI ships toggle button. This confirms that there will be AI ships. It is not known how these will work, but going back to what I said in my last video, Jorbunga did say there might be encounter style quests. Again, maybe AI ships will be used in these. Below, you can also see some rendering settings that can help with performance. There's also a PvP toggle button, which was to be expected. Lastly, there is a setting for crew invites. Now, Jorbunga did say there won't be fleets like how there are in DSS3, so I'm not exactly sure how crews will differ from fleets. I don't want to speculate too much about this since nothing is very clear, but it'll definitely be interesting to see how crews will work. In the middle, you can see a difficulty slider, a wave refresh rate slider, and a menu music slider. This difficulty slider is pretty interesting. For example, the advanced difficulty will give you 115% income, and most operations are manual, meaning you will have to physically do things on your ship to carry out your operations. Turning and acceleration will also be slower. The lower the difficulty you set, the faster your acceleration and turning will be. It was also said that there will be more common malfunctions with higher difficulties, so it sounds like you can expect there to be some sort of malfunctions on your ship in Nautica. You can also see that the normal difficulty is, quote, the way the game is meant to be played. There will be no income modifiers and some operations are manual. And in the arcade difficulty, you will only get 85% income and most operations are automated. This is apparently very similar to DSS3. The wave refresh rate will allow you to choose how good you want your wave to look, essentially. A higher refresh rate will be more intense on your computer, but will look the best. And lastly, at the bottom, there is a menu music slider. Below that, you can see the song Atlantis is playing. The Nautica OST is linked in the description for anyone who wants to listen to it, but the songs from it have been playing in this video the entire time. The last two things on the top right of the screen are toggleable options for the names above islands and names above ships. We've already seen the names above islands, and I assume the names above ships would work similarly to how they work when you're in a fleet in TSS3. The next thing shown in the teaser is the shipyard. In my opinion, this is definitely the coolest thing shown in the teaser and to ever be teased. On the left, you can see the name of the Marco 125, and below that, you can see the option to change the ship's name. Once again, below that, you can see what I think will be where you choose where you want your ship to spawn, but more on that later. You can also see the stats for turning, efficiency, top speed, and who the ship was made by. On the right, you can see the section for painting the ship. This is much more in depth than in DSS3, as you can see that you're able to repaint pretty much any section on the ship independently from the other sections. It looks like you could even change the material. Now, the coolest part of the shipyard is the ability to independently customize multiple sections of the ship. Displayed here is the ability to change the bridge, mast, crane, cargo, propeller, and thruster. In the video, you can see him switching through the different versions of most of these things. You can also see that you have to unlock these changes in some sort of way, whether it's by purchasing them or by unlocking them somehow, it's not known. It's not very clear if these will affect gameplay in any way, but I speculate that they might. For example, it looks like you may start off with no bow thruster, but you will then be able to purchase one to make gameplay a bit easier. If you look at the photos I have shown in this video, you can easily see that many photos have ships with differing components when compared to other ships in other photos. At the bottom, you can also see an option to set sail and tow your ship. We already knew towing would most likely be in the game, but this sorta just confirms it. Back in the menu, I want to quickly take a look at the other tabs. These tabs are not shown, but I should at least mention them. These tabs are the Jobs tab, Trade tab, and Shop tab. Nothing in these tabs have been confirmed, so allow me to speculate for a second. I think the Jobs tab will, well, give you different jobs that you can choose from and accept. Instead of being able to go to any terminal, pick up cargo, and drop off the cargo at any other terminal, maybe you have to choose a specific job which makes you pick up the cargo from a specific point and drop it off at a specific port. This would make it so you wouldn't be taking the same route over and over again. The Trade tab will maybe mean that you can actually trade stuff with other players, such as ships or maybe even ship components, such as cranes or masts. You do at one point see something that makes it look like Jorbunga has two masts. I'm not really too sure about this though. And lastly, I'm sure the shop section will be where you can purchase ships and maybe ship components. The trade section is set to be complete, however the shop and job sections have not been started. Once you press spawn, you can see that you can either set sail or walk. However, Jorbunga did tell me that this little menu is just a placeholder. Pressing walk will put you next to your ship on the island where it is stored, but pressing set sail will fill the shipyard with water and you can set sail. This is what the Marco's horn sounded like. If you watch the full teaser, you can hear that this horn goes on for a lot longer than I let it. And it almost sounds like the horn is activated when you hold the button, not when you press it. In DSS3, you press a button once and the horn goes on for a predetermined time. But in Nautica, it does sort of seem to me that the horn will be active as long as you are holding the horn button. I could be wrong, but that's just how it sounds to me. On the bottom right, you can see that there is a much different speed/fuel/throttle gauge than the one in DSS3. For starters, Nautica will have a throttle system, sort of how you may see in shipping lanes. This means that instead of pressing W and gaining a bit of speed every time you do, pressing W or the corresponding acceleration key will increase the throttle, not your speed. Of course, your speed will increase with the increase of your throttle, but not immediately. When you slow down, you can see that ships do not do it immediately like in DSS3. Realistically, they will have momentum and will continue to move forward even while your throttle is in reverse. At the bottom right of this big gauge, you can see what appears to be a check engine light icon that you would see in a car. Perhaps this bar will fill up depending on your ship's damage, or maybe it has something to do with the malfunctions we have heard so little about. Regarding the waves, I have been told that these are just a placeholder. The same thing goes for the waves shown in the other pictures I have shown in this video. The last big thing shown is swimming. Swimming doesn't appear to be much different from DSS3, however you can see an oxygen level has been added. As your oxygen level depletes, your screen will fade to black. You can see that while underwater, the water is bright and there is fog. Something else cool is that when you want to get out of the water and onto land, you actually climb onto land instead of just jumping up. With swimming out of the way, that wraps up everything from the big teaser. Something to keep in mind is that the devs will apparently be a lot more transparent with what they are working on now that this teaser has been released. Going back to features announced outside of this teaser, it's been said that they have fully simulated their own physics and water resistance. This can already be seen when the marker was shown sailing. This is what will also allow for things such as tugging and capsizing small ships by ramming them with bigger ships. On the topic of tugging, it has been said that that feature is done. Something quite exciting is that there will most likely be a new sailing system. There won't just be a quote normal boat but leaning to the side. This hints at a more advanced sailing system than the one we currently have in DSS3. This photo right here is from the private Nautica Trello page, only available to the developers. It doesn't really show anything too out of the ordinary, as you could probably guess most of the stuff would be in Nautica anyway. It seems like most of the interesting things have been crossed out. However, I would just like to point out this part right here that just says add blank football. This is just something that caught my attention because it is pretty random. Like, will you really be able to play football in Nautica? I doubt it, but I guess you never know. Another thing I find quite interesting is how float point errors have been talked about. Float point errors happen the further you get away from the coordinate 0, 0 on the map. So essentially, the further out from the center of the map you get, the more laggy your ship will appear. When asked about them, Syntax Connoisseur simply responded with, "You'll see what we've done when it's out." This does not confirm anything, however maybe it could mean that they have found a new way to avoid the float point errors that do happen. That would certainly be an amazing change. It seems like private server owners will definitely be able to control their server's time and weather, since it's been said that it's definitely something they want. It was apparently even supposed to be a thing in DSS3, but was never added due to complications with the code. Something decently important is that fleets will not be a Nautica. I know this will upset some people, but honestly I see it as a positive change. In their current state, fleets in DSS3 are quite overpowered. Of course, we did see that there will be crews, but we don't know much about them, so we'll have to see how those play out. Something really interesting is the way ship spawning will most likely work. For example, if you log off in your ship at one island, your ship will stay at the island for the next time you want to spawn it. Your ship can only be spawned at the island you left it at, not at any other island. If you wanted to transport your ship to a different island without actually doing it yourself, then you would have to pay a fee to do so. Now I'm just going to go over some extra information about Nautica. Now I'm not too sure how I forgot to mention this in my last Nautica video, but Nautica will be playable on mobile and console from release. Next, this isn't huge, but a welcome badge has been created for Nautica. On Nautica's homepage, the thumbnail has also been changed to this. It's not exactly anything huge, but I thought I should at least mention it. Something that is honestly good to hear is that the stats of players who participate in alpha and beta testing will be reset on the full release. This means that nobody will have an unfair advantage over anyone else once the game does fully release. With all of that out of the way, that concludes my second Nautica analysis video. This video has pretty much covered all of the new information that has come out since I made my last analysis video, so now you should be all up to date on the current state of Nautica. Thank you all so much for watching my second analysis video. As I previously said, if you haven't watched my first one, then I recommend that you do that. And of course, remember that everything I mentioned in this video and my last analysis video is subject to change. But with that being said, I'll see you all later. Bye!